Hey folks, I'm back. I'm still on Leaf. I am going to immediately go into my next video. The only reason the skill menu there was open was because I redid my little thing over on the side. Whee! So yeah, last time I was up in Ape Village, Ape City, Banatwa, whatever that place is called, doing that. I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to the Mountain Pass, east, yes, high, Mountain Pass, to go kill some termites. At least that's the plan. Hopefully nobody's taken it. There's also the new Terramite Cave in Dyrachia, which I actually will try in one of these Terramite videos before. Before I, finish up. Maybe I'll get lucky and get a tusk while we're at it. Oh yeah, that would be kind of awesome. While I'm here, I should probably consider just getting that, those 2 tusks, but I'm gonna not bother. Just on the off chance that I run into the Hydra. I still don't have blessings, so I'm refraining from buying blessings until I hit 45, so that way I can at least make enchanted spears while I'm doing the Walk of Shame. So anyway, my last Leaf video, I kind of I mentioned this topic where I was like, if I was an RPG character, like what I would be. And that was, at the time I had said I would be like a high dex build type character. At least for in terms of like defense. But it's actually, I was talking to my friend about that the other day. Where like, okay, so I mentioned this before, I'm like moderately well versed in anime. I haven't actually watched any animes in a while. I read a lot of manga though, and a lot of like translated Japanese web novels and light novels. Also Korean ones too, and Chinese ones, but they have like a unique like flavor to them almost. But yeah, so anyway, like one of the topics is for anybody who kind of is like remotely involved in like anime and things like that. You probably heard of like Sword Art Online. There was also all the like .hack game animes and stuff like that. So what I'm getting at is like it's kind of a weirdly like specific but popular genre of people being stuck in a virtual reality like MMO type game, which is just like a really oddly specific thing to be like, I don't know. Like we've got like the knight on a shining horse like saving the princess kind of thing, and then Japan's got like people being stuck within video games. Just a really weird specific thing. But it's not terrible. Like it's not like I completely don't understand it, because a virtual reality video game is like, the fantasy of so many people. And I got to thinking, like, if there was a virtual reality MMO in the sense of those games, whether or not it's like Sword Art Online or I think Log Horizon is another one, Overlord, the New Gate, .hack. Like I said, there's quite a few of them. Well, anyway, if there were a like virtual reality MMO type game, what type of character would you play? And it was an interesting thought exercise, because it's like a combination of like what I'm actually inclined to do, combined with what I would want to do. Like, I feel like my ideal character would be somebody with like super massive armor, but they can still like, I don't want to be like a tank, but I want somebody with like full plate mail. Like, my whole body's just encased in shining or, like, spiked metal or something like that. Ideally with, like, a two-handed sword. I visualize myself pretty much exclusively with a sword. The only other thing I could ever consider using would be a spear. I never visualize myself using, like, a mace or a hammer or, like, a flail or anything like that. And I rarely visualize myself. I never visualize myself with an axe, either a great axe or a battle axe or anything like that. But I could sort of see myself using a like a halberd or a glaive or something like that. A naginata for the Japanese people. But yeah, like that's what I visualize myself, like just like almost like a paladin type character is what I think I would like ideally visualize myself as. On the other hand, though, most games give like various penalties with like heavy armor like that. It slows you down and things like that. So I don't think I would probably end up playing that character. And also, I mean, what I end up doing would probably highly depend on whether or not, like, you feel pain in this game. Until just now, I hadn't considered the possibility that I would play an archer. Oh, crap. I don't have a shovel. That means I can't go out the Darashia side and come back in. I just realized that. That sucks. Okay. Looks like I could go get a shovel. But I'm not going to bother. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yeah, I hadn't considered playing an archer. I definitely probably would not play a mage because they're too squishy and I'm too absent-minded to be able to do that, I would imagine. But I think probably what I would end up playing is a character that's probably, like, focused wholly on offense and just has a whole bunch of, like, gimmicks to it, I think is probably what I would end up playing. I say that with, like, a negative sense, but I don't necessarily mean that. I mean to be, like, I would be a character who, like, uses probably something I would think along the lines of, like, a bastard sword or maybe a claymore. Not necessarily a great sword, but something still longer than a long sword. So something that I would have to use in two hands, but that's still, like, a relatively fast swinging weapon. But I would also probably, like, have a spear that I could switch to. I'd be okay with, like, throwing my weapon at you and then drawing, like, a short sword or something. I'd probably have, like, throwing knives. I'd probably know how to use a bow so that I could hit you with arrows while you're approaching, and then I would drop my bow and switch to the other weapon. I feel like the entire focus of my character in a virtual reality game like that would be a, like, as offense-oriented as possible. I'd probably have, like, various magics to, like, interfere with you, too. And a lot of it wouldn't be, like, direct fireball. Because, like, if I have a bow and arrow, I don't need to deal fire damage with you. Assuming I can't, like, fire the bow and cast a spell at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if that was the situation, I would most likely not pick up, like, attack magic. And instead I would have, like, you know, a spell that could blind you or, like, make the ground slippery. And just a whole bunch of things to make it so annoying for you as possible. And that's how I would play that type of character. But, oh, man, like, just the idea of a virtual reality game, like, I hope I live long enough to see that happen. I feel like I probably will. It's a question of whether or not I'll live long enough to be able, for that technology and, like, that thing to become mainstream, sort of, and be, like, affordable. You know, like, because computers are now, like, even, like, cell phones, for example. Like, my aunt had a cell phone. It was called a car phone back then. But she had one when I was, like, I want to say, like, 5. Something like in the early 90s, she had one. And it was, like, absurdly expensive and did, like, nothing particularly... Oh, look, a shuttle. And did nothing particularly well. But hey, you know, it existed. So, but now, like, you know, everybody has cell phones that are way more powerful and whatever. Point is, I'm slightly concerned that, like, virtual reality MMOs will come out, but that the, like, hardware for them will be just out of my price range. Yeah, I guess that's, like, I think that's a legitimate concern, too, like, that virtual reality video games will exist, but that the equipment to play it will be, like, $5,000. I mean, already I don't have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 because I can't afford them. I mean, okay, like, that's not 100% true. I could totally, like, go and buy one of those games if I wanted it. It's just that it costs too much for me to really think it's worth it at this point. And on top of that, I'd have to get games. It's like, yeah, if there was a game that came out, like, I don't know, if Bethesda, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, comes out and is like, yo, the Elder Scrolls 6 Hammerfall is coming out tomorrow. We've not released any pre-release information just to confuse everybody. And it's for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. I would totally go out and buy an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 and buy that game. But as is currently, like, you know, I'm kind of content with my PC games. But yeah, so my concern is that, like, when the virtual reality game does come out, it'll be like $5,000, and the game itself will be like another $2,000 or something. Plus, I have to pay like $100 a month subscription service or something like that. Also, I'm like legitimately concerned that if a virtual reality video game of the scale of like Sword Art Online or something like that did come out, I would be one of those people that starves to death while playing a video game. Like, could you imagine how awesome that would be? Like, I already spend way too much time playing Tibia, and it's like a pixelated game from the 70s, not from the 70s, from the 90s, from 97, with like very limited gameplay and everything, and I'm still like, must grind out level. Like, if I was actually here, like, running away from these giant bugs, hurling spears over my shoulder at them or something like that, oh my god, I would totally starve to death playing this game. I would just never come out. However, whatever I, like, neuro helmet, brain jack thing I need to use to play my virtual reality video game, I just never stop. I would die. But yeah, so. Yeah, it would suck if, like, you know, it had like huge energy bills associated with it and like subscription fees and stuff like that. And I'd probably need some kind of like Uber internet connection, something like Google Fiber. I'd have to pay like another $500 a month for that. Google Fiber is not that expensive, by the way. But Google Fiber is also only in a couple cities, and all of the other internet providers that offer something comparable to Google Fiber speeds are stupidly expensive. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, I really want to play that. It would be so awesome. It's just like, I will be so sad if I die before that happens. I mean, I guess I'll be overly concerned with, you know, my whole like death and things like that. But if it, like, I don't know, if I come out with like a terminal, this is kind of like morbid, but like if I get a terminal illness and my doctor's like, oh yeah, you've got like 2 years left to live, I'm gonna be like so irritated that I will be dying before virtual reality video games become mainstream and something that I can play. If, you know, like I just die in a car accident or something like that, you know, that's different. I suppose I could die of, like, old age. That would also suck, like, if I'm 90 and, like, my health is failing. And virtual reality video games haven't come out yet. I'd be kind of upset about that, too, but... Anyway, though, so, people, you should totally, like, comment in this video description on what type of character you would play in the event that there was a virtual reality video game. Would you be an archer? Would you be a cleric? Would you be a mage? Would you play as a female character? I feel like... I think I've mentioned this. I don't know if I've mentioned it in my my Tibia videos, but usually in, like, you know, games that have, like, decent graphics, I usually play a female character. And I've, like, there's, like, two basic reasons for that. The first one is that, like, I want my character to look cool, especially in, like, an MMO. But, even then, like, I want my character to look awesome, you know? Like, I don't want some just, like... Even my friend, for instance, who likes to play characters that, like, look like average dudes, and he always names his characters just something like, you know, like, Steve Brown. He names his characters and things like that. Oh, yeah, I don't have a rope either. You know, he still designs his character so that his character looks like an average dude. Because he likes the idea that, like, some average guy, you know, like, the dude, you know, waiting on you at Walmart, the, like, the soccer mom or something like that is, you know, fighting dragons in their spare time. So, like, he tries to craft his character to look as average as possible. I like my character to look, like, cool, so I can be like, yeah, that's my awesome-looking character. And if I'm going to spend, like, a large amount of time, like, finely tuning my character, I can only, like, stare intently at, like, some buff dude's abs for so long before I start feeling kind of gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can only put so much effort into, like, making my, like, sure my dude's got, like, a perfect, like, little bit of stubble on his chin, perfect, like, you know, like, granite jawline, looks like he was, like, chiseled out of marble with this, like, great six-pack abs, and I'm, like, finally tuning all of his, like, his pecs and stuff like that before I'm like, you know what, I'm pretty sure this makes me gay. I'm spending way too much time looking at a shirtless man and, like, perfectly touching up his like his chest. Like, you know, I don't know. I feel gay. So like I can only do that for so long. The only other reason is you know, for like at least games where it's like a third person view, if I'm going to be spending hours of my life looking at the butt of some character, prefer it not to be a male butt. I don't know. That's all I got. But yeah, I don't know if I would play a female character if in a virtual reality game. I probably would, to be honest. Reason being, I like in stories and stuff. I like stories with like a strong female lead character and things like that. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm like sure there's a certain amount of like novelty involved. But like I don't know, just like a kick butt strong female character is cool. A female character that's like, I don't know, does the main character really like me? Gets bored, like Bella Swan from Twilight. Yeah, okay, there we go. There's a character that I did not enjoy, for example. I did read the Twilight books, by the way. Actually, it's funny, though, on the topic of the Twilight books, I do want to get back to the like virtual reality games and stuff like that. But on the topic of the Twilight books, the first 3 books were like pretty not an enjoyable read for me. But I liked the final part of the 4th book because, and I may have said this in one of my videos, I honestly don't know, because in the 4th book she essentially lives my life dream, which is like she's basically useless for the first 3 books. For anybody who hasn't watched there is a movie, I suppose. The Twilight books are about the sparkly vampires. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about at this point. She's like some average girl that like falls in love with this amazingly sparkly vampire dude who's madly in love with her for some reason. But anyway, she's like 100% useless for the first 3 books. Like she does nothing besides like be an angsty teenager, and it's just not pleasant. But in the 4th book, she becomes a vampire. God, I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody, but hey, whatever. I feel like spoilers are okay when the stories or the media is that many years old. Anyway, she becomes a vampire in the 4th book. So like she is effectively like an average, if abnormally like whiny human being, and then she becomes a vampire, and by becoming a vampire, she becomes immortal, super attractive looking, has super strength, super speed, super senses, becomes smarter. Can see in ultraviolet, I believe. She also gains like a magical mental defense, but that's irrelevant. And she becomes like ultra wealthy also. And that's my life dream. To, by doing nothing, have somebody just casually walk up to me and be like, hey, you're an average person. Here's a bajillion dollars, supermodel looks, immortality, super strength, you know. Like, she didn't earn any of those things. And then she got, like, superpowers and all these other awesome things. That's my life dream right there. That's my life dream. Just to be, like, doing my thing, making my, like, little video, have a person contact me through the comments and be like, hey, I like your videos. How would you like to become a god? But yeah, anyway, so that's that. God, how did I get onto the Twilight thing? What was I talking about that led up to that? Huh. I have no idea how I got to that. Weird. Yeah, I have literally no idea how I got into the Twilight topic. Well, anyway, the other thing I was gonna say though is like kind of rolling back, getting off the virtual reality thing. Although again, that would be awesome, and I am interested in what other people would, what other like characters other people would play. But yeah, so like I haven't really watched a lot of anime lately, because like lately I found anime. What I like about anime and manga is the like continuation of the story. That does exist in like American media, you know, like there's a bunch of like Dexter, for instance, who I enjoyed, although it started going a little bit like weird towards the end, and I never finished watching Dexter. But like yeah, there's Dexter, there's like Star Trek and things like that. I like the like continuation though, you know, like you take SpongeBob SquarePants for instance. none of the like episodes of SpongeBob are like interconnected in any kind of way. It's the same characters, sure, but it's not like the same plot, and it's just SpongeBob. Like it's slice of life almost, but like SpongeBob. I like I mean, and comic books do it too, but comic books are a lot harder to get into if you haven't already been into them. You can just I can if you've never read a manga, I can just recommend you a manga right now and send you the link to it online, and it'll cost you nothing to start reading it, and you can get right into it without needing additional information. Comic books, you kind of need to know who the superheroes are and stuff like that. It's hard to just hop into Spider-Man or something like that. At least I think it is. I don't know. Let's get some food while we're up here and then dive back in. I should go try to fight one of those guys. Really? Nothing? Yeah. Instead of using the battle window, let me just alt-click on one of them. Do-do. Dude, I hate the freaking jungles of Taquanda. I can't even click on the thing I want. I hate using crappy royal spears. Come on, level 45. Cannot wait. Meat. Okay. Now that I don't need my undivided attention to avoid running into elephants. And now I don't remember what I was talking about. Jeez. Oh yeah. So anyway, I could recommend somebody a manga. I could say to you, what are you interested in? You want a fantasy one? And I could recommend you something right now, and you could, start reading it. I could send you the link to it. And I like that interconnected aspect, or that continuation, I should say, of the Japanese. Not it doesn't matter to me that it's Japanese. I also read Korean webtoons and stuff like that, and it's kind of the same thing. I like that it's one coherent, continual story. Because I don't know if you ever have you're reading a really good book and it ends and you're like, oh man, I wish that hadn't ended. That's how I feel a lot of times with stories. So I like that I can keep reading my my manga or my anime or whatever. The other thing though I do enjoy about them is I guess because manga is relatively inexpensive to produce. Same with animes too. They can do a lot more of I have this crazy idea kind of things. I've read some, absurd mangas. I read this, it was a one-shot, and it was a joke manga, but it was called, I'm the main character of a harem manga, but I'm gay. So it's just about this dude who just constantly has girls randomly fawning all over him for no reason. But he was just I'm gay, so I don't care. Okay, so sure, that was only one chapter, but it was funny. So I don't know. You can find a lot of very unique and interesting stories on that end. Somebody's respawning, and I like that aspect of manga and anime too. It's not just the same old take action movies for instance. A lot of action movies are just there's faceless bad guys that need to be killed because they're up to no good, and this dude effortlessly kills all of them. I don't know, James Bond. James Bond, there's always some kind of crazy supervillain-esque enemy, who's doing some kind of crazy supervillain-esque take over the world scheme or something, funding terrorists or something. And it all boils down to him doing some infiltration type work and then shooting a whole bunch of people while using some weird gadgets. Not that that's bad, but it's the kind of the, a lot of other movies are there's a hero, there's a bad dude, and then the hero uses a lot of firepower to kill all the bad dudes kind of situation. I don't like Naruto, for instance, but it's relatively unique. I don't know. They're all ninja villages or something like that. Bleach has, I mean, gotten a lot worse as it's progressed through the years. I actually haven't even read Bleach in maybe the past, like, 4 months. I should probably catch up on that. I don't even know if Bleach is maybe finished. That would be crazy. Same with Naruto. I don't know. The last time I read either one of those, it was kind of at a point where, like, conceivably the end could be soon. So it's possible they're like, completed at this point. But yeah, like, I don't know. I like the unique aspects to it. But so I haven't really watched a lot of anime because, like, anime takes a lot longer to watch than it would take me to just read it. And when I'm talking, like, how fast I can consume the story, crap. I did not do that right. That was pretty stupid of me. There we go. Okay, a little bit better. Sort of. You're dead. Yeah, okay. We're good now. That mini crisis has been overcome. And again, though, I totally forgot what I was just saying. Oh yeah, just that, like, you know, so, like, I it's true, I do still enjoy, like, a good anime, and, like, it was only recently that I had watched the Matka movie, Rebellion. But yeah, like, I prefer to just consume the stories as fast as possible, and I can read a whole story faster than I can watch it in anime form. I mean, just consider, like, I mean, even if you take the filler episodes out of Bleach, I mean, Bleach is what, like, I don't know. Alright, Bleach is a bad example. I'm trying to think of something that I've read the manga to and also read the anime that was, or watched the anime that was, didn't, like, diverge completely. And I'm totally drawing a blank. There's got to be something. Anyway, regardless, I mean, like, an episode's 30 minutes long. A 13-episode anime, like, which would be a one-season one, would be, what, like, 6.5 hours? They're really 22 minutes usually, but still, like, alright, let's just say 30 minutes. So it'd be, like, 6.5 hours to go through that. Like, I can totally read that faster in manga format or in light novel format. I mean, like, the like, motion picture element of an anime is for sure nice, but I don't know, outside of, like, really cool action scenes, I don't know, I sort of prefer to just read it and go, like, through it faster. So yeah, to that end, I haven't watched a lot of animes, but I do read a whole bunch of mangas. I haven't seen any new mangas, though, that I've been enjoying. Like, it's super disappointing to me when a manga I'm following, like, finally ends. Because, like, then I'm like, oh, man, I gotta find something. Because, like, one of the huge, like, enjoyments of my day is, like, waking up and being like, alright, which stories do I follow, have updated? And then, you know, like, I do that every so many hours throughout the day. Like, you know, I go to one of the manga websites and then, like, hit refresh. Oh, sick. Real Life. Real Life actually just updated, and I read the latest chapter, maybe, like, an hour before I started doing these videos. 101. Kind of wanted to get at least halfway done. How am I at, file size? Alright, yeah, I guess we're good. But yeah, so, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of any good mangas I've been reading lately. I'm, like, terrible with Japanese names, by the way, so Takane no Hana, something like that. I started reading. That was pretty funny. Real Life, I've started reading. The Gamer is pretty decent. Vinland Saga, Ubelblatt, something like that. I'm trying to think of, like, what just updated today is what I'm thinking of. Let me get my phone, actually, and I'll just check. Hold on. Let me go Alright, let me do this. Alright, so like, yeah. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Vinland Saga, updated. The Gamer. I don't know. I think the Newgate recently updated. I was reading something. What was that one called? I can't remember what that one's called. Never mind. Anyway, so there's those, and then I've also been kind of into light novels now, because I think the production cost of a light novel is even less than a manga. So you can kind of go through a lot of those. It's a little annoying though. The manga translating like environment is a little bit more like developed and mature than the light novel translating environment. So there's still like annoyances in that, but it's all good. I follow. Let's see what I'm trying to think of what I follow. Let me grab my phone for this actually, because I can. Where'd my phone go? There we go. Grab my phone. All right. So yeah. Unlike mangas, where I mostly just sit there on my on the website and hit refresh every now and then, with the light novels, I actually keep the ones I like, because there isn't really like a centralized database of light novels as far as I know. I keep them all like bookmarked. So let's see, what do I got? Mahoko Kyoko no Retosai or something like that. Shiba Tatsuya, that one. That I really enjoyed. I'm pretty sure it got like licensed or something. It was taken down, which was super disappointing to me. That had an anime too, 24 episodes. I actually enjoyed the anime. The anime only went up to the end of the Yokohama disturbance arc. Still, though, I mean, that was a like really good one actually. Had some decent fight scenes in it and stuff too. I actually really enjoyed that. Now that I think about it, both the manga, or well, there is a manga, and I do follow the manga too, but both the light novel and the anime. I'm annoyed though that it's like licensed. Suyokote New Saga. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right either. That's one about this dude. He's like the hero. The demons invade. It's like a relatively, I don't know. Demon King comes out. He's the hero. They fight against all the demons. Eventually, he kills the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord has this weird magical crystal. I don't know, it breaks or something. And then he gets sent back in time to, like, I don't know, like 10 years prior before the war starts. So now he's trying to, like, I don't know, stop the war or something like that. It's not too far along, so I don't really know where it's going, but it's pretty solid. Mother of Learning. I'm not sure what that name is from. It's not actually a Japanese light novel. It's, I don't know the nationality of the guy, but it's just some dude who posted it up on the internet. It's not a like Japanese web or light novel or anything like that. It's on Fiction Press, I think, or something like that. Fiction.net. If anybody's interested, I can put the links to these somewhere or something. It's pretty good actually though. It's like a magical based one. The dude gets stuck in like a Groundhog's Day. For anybody who doesn't know that, it's like, I don't know, like you repeat the same day over and over again. In his case, it's the same month over and over again. It's a pretty interesting story, actually. Trying to think. Gun Tensei or something like that? I don't know. Some dude gets reincarnated into another world. There's magic in it. He's not really good at magic, but he can use this like metal stuff called like magic metal or something. I forget what it's called, to be honest. Liquid metal? I don't know. You put magic into it and then you can like visualize what you want out of it, and he ends up making guns. Semi-interesting. Sort of weird. I don't know. A lot of the issue with these is that they're not always like good writing. They're kind of like the quality of like fan fictions a lot, but because they're like unique and interesting, I still follow them. Riso, something like that. I forget the rest of that one's name. Dude gets summoned into the other world by the like queen of the country because of the like precarious political situation. She needs to produce like an heir, but she doesn't want to like marry any of the two people in the kingdom that are like viable options, because it would like, you know, give too much political clout to their families. So instead, she summons some random dude that's got like the like royal bloodline from Japan. So it's mostly about like politics and stuff like that, and like all of the characters are like mature and responsible and not idiots, which is nice. But yeah, it's like really political, like intrigue kind of stuff. Like the main character, what I'm like in volume 4, and he's just now like learning how to do like basic magic, and doesn't do anything else. I was following something called Dragon Life, where the lady gets reincarnated into a dragon, but it's only like 10 chapters and it hasn't been updated in a long time. The same dude who was translating that also did... Well, actually, I'll come back to that one in a second. Yeah, we'll come back to that one, because that's like a genre I wanted to talk about. Dude gets reborn in the world of his video game after he gets killed in a car accident. But his character was a female, like, vampire, and now he's the, like, leader of this vampire nation or something like... Well, monster nation. Where all the monsters are way stronger than him. And he's, like, afraid of them finding out that he's, like, weak. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I forget what it was called, though. Kyuketsu Hime Wabero no Yume, something like that. I think it's, like, the rose-filled dreams of the vampire or something like that. I don't even know. That was pretty good, though. Something new that recently started updating called, like, Eliza, I think it was. Eliza. Actually, no, I'll come back to that one, too. Sorry, guys. Tensei Shitara Slime. Dude reincarnates into another world as a slime. That started out really interesting. But he's, like, no longer a slime, effectively. He can, like, transform into a humanoid appearance and just stays as a humanoid. And I think they went a little over the top. Like, everybody got a little bit too powerful, and it's a little bit less interesting now. I still follow it, though. Descent of the Phoenix. It's actually a Chinese one. Girl's like super leader of the world's best hitmen. Trips, falls, and hits her head on the side of a door and dies. Something like that. She gets reincarnated into some kind of like feudalistic fantasy Chinese world. It's interesting. I like that strong female lead thing again. What do we got? Era Futura or something like that. Whole class gets transferred to another world to, like, I don't know, fight the Demon King or something like that. The main character gets a crappy job called, like, Synergist or something useless like that. He ends up getting, like, like, everybody bullies him. He gets pushed as a, like, human sacrifice against a too powerful monster. And ends up falling into this, like, labyrinth where he eats, like, monsters to not die. And then that transforms him into, like, almost a monster. And then his stats gets really weird. It's cool, though, because he gets, like... He becomes all, like, cold-hearted and, like, whatnot. He's cool. I don't know. It's okay. Overlord, which got, like, anime, and now it got licensed, so... It's not being translated anymore, but Overlord's really good. Virtual reality one. Dude is like one of the guild leaders of this guild, and I can't remember his name. He's the guild leader of this guild called like Ain's something gibberish. And the game's like getting shut down, so he like logs in for one final moment, and when the game shuts down, he doesn't get like kicked out from the server, like, going down. And then he finds himself, like, in his guild hall, but in another world with all the NPCs in his guild, like, becoming a, like, sentient. But it's cool because, like, he's an undead, and the rule for their guild was that they had to play, like, non-humanoid races. So, like, one of his guild members was, like, a slime. And all the NPCs, like, follow that. So, like, some of the NPCs are, like, one's a succubus, one's some kind of, like... insect-type monster. I'm pretty sure the one guy, I can't remember his name now. I'm pretty sure he's based off of an ice devil from Dungeons & Dragons. Because he looks a lot like one. But yeah, like, all of his people are, like, monsters. And it's cool, because they're all, like, loyal to him. And they're all, like, completely evil. Like, to test the, like, strength of the, like, locals, they invited like adventurers basically into their guild hall, and then they like fight them and defeat them all to see how like tough they were. But like so the one guy like gets dropped into a pit where one of the like the NPCs is there, and he's like a giant cockroach, and then he just like eats the humans with cockroaches. But like the cockroaches just keep like biting at the guy while he's like trying his best to like resist all the cockroaches. And then he like screams and the cockroaches like swarm down his throat and eat him from the insides out. Like they're all just completely awful. It's really cool though. It's a really good story. Really well written too. Chapters are large too. So yeah, I definitely recommend Overlord to anybody who's interested. It's like a really good one. My phone is telling me that it's currently 1:53 and that I received an email at 1:54. I think my phone is having slight issues. So yeah, that's a really good one. Genocide Reality is another one. It's only up to 9 chapters, and the chapters are relatively small. Whole class gets transferred to the world of a like rogue-like video game where everybody dies constantly. Seems interesting so far. Knights and Magic, dude from like Japan, like salaryman from Japan, dies, gets reincarnated into some fantasy world that has like giant robot things, and he is like a model enthusiast and is all excited about the robots. It was also pretty good. Slave Harem, dude gets... I'm like not terribly excited about Slave Harem, but I still follow it because I've been following it, and I do that with a lot of things. Dude's like planning on killing himself and instead ends up like clicking on an email that sends him to another world, and he's got like vaguely video game-esque like aspects to it where he's got like he can like reset his bonus points and things like that, and the world is like based off of classes and stuff like that, but the actual inhabitants of the world don't know how the things like actually work. So it's a lot of him being like, I need to experiment with what this class ability does and stuff like that. Unfortunately, there's like way too much of him being like, I don't know how this ability works. Let me test it. Oh, it worked like that. Okay. Or him being like, I don't know what this ability does. Let me test it. Okay, my testing was inconclusive. But yeah, he ends up like buying a whole bunch of slaves and having a harem of slave girls, which is like, I don't know. Somebody actually, in one of the other translators was like, that's like the most pathetic type of story. She translates like a couple of stories that I enjoy, but she's like, that's like the most pathetic type of story because it's like the same unrealistic like harem thing where like you've got some random dude who's like a good-hearted person but nothing else that just randomly has all these like girls falling all over him. She's like, it's the same kind of like that like nonsensical stuff, except in this case they're his like slaves bound to him by magic. So it's not like even they're really interested in him. It's just that they're forced to be like that. She's like, yeah, it's like the most pathetic thing ever. I'm like, no, now that you think about it like that, it's kind of right. It is kind of sad. I'm actually going to head back the other way because I'm going to leave the Darashia side. I think I have enough kills that I can probably call this a success. Yeah. Alright, we're going to head out the Darashia side. There's like Takami no Kago or something like that. This dude gets, I don't know, transferred to the other world. I forget how he gets transferred. It doesn't really matter. And he gets the blessings of a whole bunch of gods, which was like kind of cool in a concept. So he's got like the blessing of the god of war, the blessing of the god of like blacksmithing and stuff like that. And then they kind of did nothing with any of that. Like, they barely followed up on any of that, and instead he ends up just buying a whole bunch of slave girls that fall in love with him. It's like, yeah. I mean, like, again, I still follow it because, like, a story I've already put the effort into, like, learning the characters and stuff like that, but I wouldn't recommend that. I'm trying to think of what else I got. Dragon's Bloodline, like, some kind of, like, elderly... Not elderly, but some kind of, like, adult swordsman dude. Dies, gets reincarnated into another world. He chooses his, like, gift with his, like, karma points that he got, and he chooses, like, Dragon's Bloodline. So he's, like, the descendant of a dragon or something like that, but he gets reincarnated as a girl. So it was, like, it was a, like, pretty interesting one. It's funny, though, because he's, like, still attracted to girls and still, like, actively pursues girls, and, you know. I don't know, it's funny. Actually, just dropping the shovel. Oh, wow, I'm also just dying. I should die less. Should be definitely dying less right now. You're dead. Lazy dungeon master. Dude gets transferred into another world to be a, like, dungeon master or something like that. Also, it's a pretty interesting one. Anyway, the thing I wanted to mention before I got off on a little bit of a tangent was there's this, like, weirdly specific, like, subtype of these stories of, like, girls being reincarnated or transferred into the world of a dating sim. Which is, like, the weirdest thing. I mean, when I say dating sim, like, most people probably know what I'm saying about that. But in, like, Japan, for those who don't know, they're split to, like, I am not going to pronounce either word correctly, but, like, atome games and gouges. And gouges are, like, the main character is male, and he's trying to, like, you know, pursue female characters. And then otome is the opposite. The main character is female, and you pursue male characters. The World God Knows, or Only Knows, or something like that, was a manga that was about this topic, and it was actually a pretty good one, too. Exani Terra? Yay. Oh, look, that, a shovel, too. And also, this is Anchorman. I don't know why I kept calling this Darasha. But anyway, so, like, the girl gets transferred into this, like, atome game that she's always played and that she knows all about for some reason. But she's never the main character. She's always the, like, rival villainous girl that, like, gets ruined at the end. So her goal is always to be like, okay, I gotta make sure that when the game actually starts and the player character, like, arrives, I need to make sure that, like, I'm not disgraced or killed or something like that. It's a very weird, like, specific story concept. I don't know. It's really weird to me. Just throw that on the floor. That exists in so many different stories. I mean, I've got, like, I think I follow, like, 4 or 5 of them that are like that. Eliza was one. Yeah, there's quite a few. It's funny, though, because I'm actually, I started writing a story similar to that, so. Anyway. So, yeah, that was a good little hunt on, teramites. God, my ankle still hurts. It is 2:01 in the morning. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this quick and easy way, which is probably buy spears, deposit gold, and then I'll leave off here in Darashia. Ugh, man, I hate the... I'm sorry. Again, this is Anchorman. I don't know why I keep calling it Darashia. But I'm also going to really quickly just complain about the annoyance of the shops in Anchorman. Royal Spears, Royal... Really? Alright, you know what? I'll just deal with that later on. Just don't feel like dealing with this right now. Nah, I'll just go finish it, jeez. People, the video's basically over at this point. You don't have to follow me as I walk over here, deposit some of my gold, withdraw some more, and then go buy more spears. Withdraw. Let's just withdraw 10 or 1k. It'll be sufficient. Buy some more spears. I don't need potions or anything like that. And then I'll just, you know, log out of the trainers. Anyway, people, while I'm doing this, you should like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Patreon, Twitter, and Facebook. And you should click on my ads. Do that too while you're at it. Click on my ads. Alright, people. That's it for me. I will see you folks later.